everyone. My name is Vaibhav Singh, and today I'm going to talk about the role of foreign direct investment in the Indian economy. To begin with, foreign direct investment plays a very important role in the development of a nation. It is very important in the case of underdevelopment and developing nations. In India, FDI is considered as development tool, and for foreign countries, India is a hot destination for investment. Foreign companies invest in India to advantage of relatively lower wages, special investment privileges such as tax exemptions, etc. In India, foreign investment was introduced in 1991 under Foreign Exchange Management Act, that is FEMA, which was driven by then Finance Minister Mr. Manmohan Singh. FDI have helped India to attain a financial stability and economic growth. With the help of investment in different sectors, FDI has boosted the economic life of India. Foreign direct investment help the economy, generating employment to unemployed, development of infrastructure, balanced economy, less brain drain, etc. After the liberalization, trade policy became attractive due to the GDP of India. In India, FDI inflow made its entry during the year 1991-92 with the aim to bring together the intended investment and actual saving of the country. To pursue a growth of around 7% in GDP in India, the net capital flows increase by at least 28 to 30% on the whole. The concept of foreign investment comes from the Foreign Exchange Management Act in 1991. Basically, FDI is classified as inward FDI and outward FDI. Inward FDI means those foreign investments which are invested in local resources, and outward FDI, referred to as direct investments, which is invested abroad. In India, there are two entry routes of FDI. Automatic route: by this route, FDI is allowed without prior approval by the government, or RBI government route. In this route, prior approval by government is needed, and Foreign Investment Promotion Board will be abolished in 2018, which was the responsible agency to oversee this route. Mauritius is the main provider of FDI in India. So the tax treaty between India and Mauritius was signed in 1982, in keeping with India's strategic interests in the Indian Ocean and India's close cultural links with Mauritius. The treaty provides for capital gains tax exemption to a Mauritius resident on transfer of Indian securities. It is interesting to note that Mauritius has been a key contributor to the foreign direct investment inflows in India in the past 15 years. The data published by the Ministry of Commerce reveals that the cumulative inflow from April 2000 to December 2015 from Mauritius has been a whopping 465,163 crores. The country that is next in line is Singapore, with a FDI inflow in the same period amounting to rupees 2,38,352 crores, while Mauritius accounts for 34% of all FDI in that period. Singapore accounts for 16%. Mauritius has regained the position as the top source of FDI into India by pushing Singapore to the second slot in 2014 and 15. Mauritius accounted for about 29% of the country's total FDI inflow last fiscal year. In 2013-14, Singapore had replaced Mauritius as the top source of FDI into India. So now we move on to the main topics, that is the factors influencing foreign direct investment in India. So the first one is wage rate. A major incentive for a foreign company to invest in abroad is lower wage rate. If average wages in the US 50 is $15 an hour, but $1 an hour in India, due to the cost is reduced. This is why many Western firms have invested in clothing factories in Indian subcontinent. And next is tax rates. So big MNCs such as Apple, Google, and Microsoft have sought to invest in countries like lower corporation tax rates. And the next one is the infrastructure. A key factor in the desirability of investments are the transport cost and level of infrastructure. A country may have low labor cost, but if there is then high transport cost to get the goods onto the world market, this is a drawback. Now, the next one is labor skills. Some industries require higher skilled labor, for example, pharmaceutical and electronic. Therefore, multinationals will invest in those countries with a combination of low wage but high labor productivity and skills. The next one is potential of growth. FDI is often targeted to selling goods directly to the country involved in attracting the investment. Therefore, the size of the population and scope for economic growth will be very important for attracting investment. Then there is political environment, which is of the utmost important. Countries which are stable, countries where there is uncertainty about political situation will be a major disincentive. So related to political stability is the level of corruption and trust in institutions, especially judiciary and the extent of law and order. Next one is the exchange rate. A weak exchange rate in the host country can attract more FDI because it will be cheaper for the multinational to purchase assets. However, exchange rate volatility could discourage investment. On to the problems relating to inflow of FDI in India. The first one is the FDI opposed by local people. So domestic companies fear that they will lose their ownership to overseas companies. Small enterprises fear that they may not be able to compete with the world-class companies and may ultimately be edged out of business. Large giants of the world try to create monopoly and take the highly profitable sectors. Government has less control over the functioning of such companies as they usually work as a wholly owned subsidiary of an overseas company. The next challenge is the resource challenge. India is known to have huge amounts of resources. There is manpower and significant availability of fixed and working capital. At the same time, there are some underexploited or unexploited resources. The resources are well available in the rural as well as the urban areas. The focus is to increase infrastructure 10 years down the line, for which the requirement will be amount of about US $150 billion. The next challenge is the equity challenge. India is definitely developing in a much faster pace now than before, but in spite of that, it can be identified that development have taken place unevenly. This means that while the more urban areas have been tapped, the poorer sections are inadequately exploited. To get the complete picture of growth, it is essential to make sure that the rural sections of the country has more or less the same amount of development as the urbanized ones. The next challenge is the political challenge. So the support of the political structure has to be there towards the investing countries abroad. This can be worked out when foreign investors put forward their persuasion for increasing FDI capitals in various sectors like banking and insurance. So there has to be a common ground between the parliament and the foreign countries investing in India. This would increase the reforms in the FDI of the country. The next is the federal challenge. Very important among the major challenges facing larger FDIs is the need to speed up the implementation of policies, rules, and regulations. So the vital part is to keep the implementation of policies in all the Indian states at par. Thus, asking for equal speed in policy implementation among the states in India is important. So to conclude, FDI in India has contributed effectively to the overall growth of the economy in the recent times. FDI policy permits FDI up to 100% from foreign NRI investors without prior approval in most of the sectors, including the services sector under automatic route. India should use its advantage such as large domestic market, abundant supply of trained and low wage labor, vast pool of technical professionals, second largest nations, etc. Lack of proper infrastructure, unstable government, high corporate tax rates, and limited export processing zones are considered to be the major problems for low FDI into the country. To overcome this situation, the government should revise the sectoral gap and bring more sectors under the automatic route. And also, further, India should sign the agreement of double taxation treaties with other countries in order to increase bilateral trade. Therefore, there is an urgent need to adopt innovative policies and good corporate practices on par with the international standards by the government of India to attract more and more foreign capitals in various sectors of the economy to make India a developed country. Thank you.